was in the dark against it all, but made it through the day, 'cause I found my way. I found my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay, 'cause I found my way. 'Cause I found my way.
Hi, this is going to be another little vignette, if you will, of codependency and another aspect of how it manifests, which is people-pleasing. Codependent people, strong correlation to people-pleasing people. Yes. Not always. Not always. And just, you could be a people-pleaser and not necessarily codependent, but they kind of run together,
there's some,
right?
Yeah, because when you're a people-pleaser and you're codependent, you're taking the value outside
Where are you getting your value?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's people-pleasing?
Changing who you are, what your desires are to satisfy another.
To go along with what they want before yourself?
You know, let's say I'm in a relationship and I'm totally all about football suddenly when I have never wanted to watch football before.
What's that Taylor Swift song where she's like, I don't have to pretend I like acid rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect example.
That's it.
So little places of where we give away our power by being inauthentic to our true nature, our authentic desires, right?
Yeah.
So what does that, it can be very, I think, banal and like lighthearted, like little things like, again, where you want to eat dinner, but also big things of like worldviews. Like I know friends, that's why I think this last like election cycles, like you're talking people's worldviews and like how people operate, like tolerating racism and misogyny and like transphobia, you know, like phobia and stuff. It's just, those are big life-changing issues that you shouldn't compromise on.
No.
But also,
I don't think they are compromisable.
some people go along with it. I feel like
that kind of goes.
Do they really
into,
believe it then?
Yeah. That goes into like a herd mentality, following.
Which is people pleasing in essence, right? A form of it. Give me some examples of how you people please. How you people pleased.
In the past, how I people pleased, probably staying silent.
Silent, that's a good one.
Yeah, just keeping the peace at all costs, not rocking the boat.
Yeah.
Not saying how I really feel about something. Not saying what I need about. Yeah.
From your partner?
Anybody.
Yeah.
Like in a work setting maybe, or, you know, I tend to go inward.
You come from social work, so that's interesting too. Like office dynamics, I think, are really like taking on more work than you want, but or know that you're capable of, but still bearing the burden.
Yeah.
How did that look in your work environments, though?
I think it correlates to what we were just talking about in the other video of I can bear more than they can. Mm-hmm. So it was a sense
savior
of
motifs.
a savior mentality of I can take more on and I can handle it better than they can.
And I should because I can.
I should.
When the truth is, other people just aren't pulling their weight. And everyone is going through something at some time. That's why it's up to us to say what we're capable of.
At the same time, I'm not giving them a chance to show up because I'm just taking it on.
Okay, this is good too. Do you want to talk about here what the psychic Judy was telling you? How you are getting...
I get in the way of everyone's karma.
This is something that goes along with codependent. And when we're talking on a spiritual level, like on a significant, like eternal mindset kind of view, like when you look at that bird's eye view of your life, a lot of times when you're trying, like enablers, you know, like 600-pound life, or people that have family members with addiction issues, how many times will they allow them to like just keep hurting the family, keep hurting themselves? It's coming from a good place. Yeah. Usually.
I think,
or is it?
It's sometimes fear you don't want to lose them.
Yep.
You don't want to lose that contact. You don't want to lose your control over them.
Control, I was going to say, is a big thing.
Lose access.
Yeah. And I think there is a lot of our identity that gets wrapped up in
100%.
being this for other
I think
people.
Even for women, we naturally take on an identity of a caretaker.
Yeah. It's a big part of your identity and your role as a person.
When I stepped away from social work, I found that was probably the hardest thing for me was, where is my identity now that I'm not a social worker? I had to kind of redefine who I was, and that was very difficult.
We just talked about that in Treehouse, like serving. Yeah. I'm still the one at the table who will like top off everyone's glass at the holiday, you know, and then, you know, packing plates and putting them together. people can take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do this. I enjoy it at my heart. I think servers, like people who want to be of service to others, that is your heart. You want to, that's one of your love languages, helping, you know?
Yeah.
But
there's a dark side to it, a dark shadow.
Because
to it.
a lot of our validation and
comes from
our
what we
worth
do for others.
are in these roles and what we provide others, which full circle, this people pleasing piece, let's get down to the meat of it. The roots of it, our validation comes from a desire to be loved, which is based on a very conditional principle.
Yes.
So,
ooh.
like we learn in our families of origin that I am only worthy of love because, again, these are broken people showing, not broken, people with hurt people. Yeah, hurting people. But they're showing us that you are only worthy of love when you do something of service to me.
How I do it, or
someone just told me in a reading this past year, in the last few months, that sometimes people only love you when you can provide them with something, or you're of service to them, like you're giving them something. And it's amazing how quick these people, when you pull back, you set your boundaries, just disappear. How quick they will cut you out because you're not giving them. That's the true nature. And as codependent people, we want to believe the best, I think, a lot of time.
Always assuming positive intent.
Like, they're struggling, they're hurting,
it's
like
hard
they've
for
had a
us
difficult
to
life.
Understand how people can navigate the world and not come from a space of love like we do. So I think we fall victim to that mentality of assuming that they are only behaving that way because they're going through something, or they just had a really bad childhood, or their last...
See, you're trying to rationalize all the... But really what we're, at our core, we get caught up in...
We don't want to own that we're being codependent, one, and we don't want to own that we're enabling.
Yeah.
We don't want to own that our part in this is, spiraling it.
And what if we actually gave them a chance to show up for themselves, and they... What?
It may disguise itself as a form of self-resilience. That's very true.
Yeah.
Being able to bite your tongue when you want to speak and talking to build a conversation.
Which there's a time, I think, for everything. But if it's a pattern, that's when you got to start thinking, like, these patterns in my life.
Yeah.
Am I doing it often? Am I often self-betraying?
I know my 20s to early 30s, I did it without even fail. It was always, don't rock the boat. Go with whatever the flow is.
Talk about that. Talk more
about that. Always taking more on, and not being able to say no, not being able to assert the boundary that
Where do you think it came from? Not saying no.
The societal pressure to be kind and loving and, be a nice girl.
Nice girl syndrome. Yes. Men like a woman who doesn't speak up so much, or who doesn't fight.
I've never had an issue with that. Ever.
You need the right
I've never
type
had
of person.
An issue. I will always go toe-to-toe with a man. I have no problem. But in terms of, like, work and things like that, like, I just wanted to be the nice girl, the one who was going to get things done. And
you've said, too, that it's like you've always said that you have hard relationships with women.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting, too. Pretending to be something you're not, just not to attract the ire of other women, or to put other women on the defensive.
Well, I think that we're taught from a very young age that women are your competition.
Yeah.
They're your competition for securing a good marriage. They're your competition for, jobs.
You want to talk 12th
like
century
that.
thoughts.
Yeah. So women tend to be
antagonistic,
very double-faced. And untrustworthy.
Mean Girls. That's what Mean Girls is all about. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I, as a Scorpio rising, do not do bullshit. I don't do,
We were just talking about, how it's hard for you to, but I think you're also robbing yourself of that, but it's just easier
I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the South how they say bless your heart and they really mean the opposite.
I
call it like it is. Like, are you telling me to fuck off? Because if you are, then just say fuck off.
Yeah, right.
And when I lived in the South, that was something that was always an issue. They were like, you just talk really rough. You talk like a square, and we talk like a circle. We're softer on the edges, and you're very pointy.
But then you, consider...
But I call the bullshit like I see it. I'm not going to sit here. And so I have difficulty in relationships with certain types of women. And when I say that, I mean younger women who are insecure, threatened easily, things like that. Because I have great relationships with older women who are content and satisfied with where they are in life. But for younger relationships, it's not usually something that I pursue because those women tend to feel very threatened by me because I know who I am and I'm not afraid to call you on your bullshit.
Like they're suspicious of you when
I
you're
think
being
there
authentic.
Is an element of
yeah.
people feel like nobody can be that sincere. Nobody can be that pure. Nobody can have
There's
that.
There's got to be another
Yeah,
motive.
like what's the secret that you're hiding? Yeah.
Interesting. God, that's a different dynamic.
It is.
And again, when society's pressuring you and pitting you against each other, men pit you against each other.
All the
like
time.
it's.
But I think we're waking up from that.
I do. Think
You
see it in culture.
Communities are growing between women where we're just like, we're fucking done.
Me too. I am
I'll
so
take
thankful
the 10
for
cats and live out in the middle of the forest over having to deal with
naked
men.
under the full moon.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think women are finally, we're like, it's not worth it anymore.
Let's do a few more examples. I really liked how, again, since we're on this feminist, physically, how do you people please when it comes to physical?
Plastic surgery.
Ooh, okay.
You know,
Okay.
I was always one that I will not get plastic surgery done. And now I'm like, do I need to nip and tuck some things?
There is power in feeling comfortable in your own body. But
who created
where does
what
it come
that
from?
Image of beauty was?
Is this really for you? Which is okay. I'm not saying if you want your body's your body. Change it to however you want to.
Yeah.
But I just
But
want
what is
to,
the motivation?
Where's the motivations coming?
Yeah.
And not a non-judgmental, in a curious way. Is this really for you? And if it is, go for it. Like,
yeah,
I don't want to double
women
chin,
are
but
fed the idealistic standard of beauty, and we buy it
so much harder.
and it changes all the time.
Well,
and
gays
so
are the same way. Like
it's
about
very prominent in gay culture.
being the youngest, the prettiest, the most attractive, the longest you can.
Always
right?
being fit, always being in shape. Yeah. But I think that, there comes a point where you kind of like, I love that video. There's a TikTok and there's probably like YouTube videos where it shows a bunch of different women that all weigh exactly like 170 pounds, get onto on a scale, and like how vastly different the bodies are just based off of height and the build and like bone structure. Some look like, they only weigh 110 pounds. Others look like they are like obese.
Yeah.
But we all carry weight differently. And I think so for me, it's one of those things where we buy into what beauty should be based off of our story.
How does that look like in like wearing makeup or
always being tan, always having to have a tan, always having to have makeup on when you go out in public?
Who are you pleasing is the point.
Exactly, yeah. And so like this, I didn't want to stream without makeup. I didn't want to stream without my hair done. But the first videos that you're going to see, I have no makeup on. I look like I just rolled out of bed.
I love.
And I'm in that place now where I'm just like, I don't care.
I hate that it's an act of like political.
It is though.
Defiance.
Pam Anderson, like she made headlines for going to a red carpet event for no makeup. Like that shouldn't be newsworthy.
Yeah. That shows what society is and where I want to see it change. Oh, I love that. Comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
So I have
and other standards of what your beauty should be.
I have this. We'll wrap it up here, but I have this picture that I found just on some meme, but it's on my fridge now. I printed it out, and it's just this weird artsy flower, but it's got a face in it, and it says, "Comparing yourself to others is an act of violence against yourself." Yeah, snap, snap, snap. But literally, why am I comparing myself? I think it is our nature, society, like defining ourselves from the other. That's how we know ourselves, in essence. But when you start taking on the other's opinions of yourself, it's an act of self-betrayal. It's literally violence against your identity.
It's comparing apples and oranges, too. We're so different that there can't be a comparison between the two.
If you're an artsy person, that is your giftings. That's what you're here to bring to the world. You're not going to be an accountant. You can learn skills, but you're built and structured a certain way for a certain reason. What you're supposed to.
It's all needed.
Yes, it's all needed. And if you are a nerd and you love numbers, thank you, because I didn't even know my Discord was not working. Like, not saying you're a nerd.
We always talk
but
about,
I don't think that way.
Brian, my partner, when we're having conversation with him and he's explaining basic elemental business things to us,
and we're glazing over.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And then he starts going in depth with it. David and I just kind of look at each other like, the fuck is he talking about right now? Because it sounds like
it's out of our realm.
I can't understand what
you can, however,
but I don't.
It's a lot of work. And like,
Yeah.
So I woke up this morning and I was like, 3 of the things he said yesterday, I asked him for the article because it made a lot of sense. It's becoming open to it. I'll never be where he's at.
No, because that's just how he works.
Because he's passionate about it.
Well, that's how he thinks. He's built to understand business.
And I'm so thankful for it because it causes me to grow. It causes me to change.
Well, and he grounds me where I can be creative.
Yeah.
And you need that. You need that yin yang.
Yin and yang. Contrast. Contrast make the world go forward. Yay. So, point is people pleasing.
We need to let it go.
Hi. Is it Rockstar? Starza? Hi. Welcome.
Hi.
We're just wrapping up this one. We might talk a little more, but I am glad to see some people. Hi. This makes me happy. This is why we're doing it. We want to connect with you.
Yes.
And I am looking forward to building this community, getting to
both
know you.
Are.
Has their own element of beauty, 100,000%.
Yes, that's what we were trying to say.
Yeah. And that's what I always say. I think it's a trite term, like this whole being authentic, your authentic self, like your authentic nature. But that's really the truth that we're trying to get to.
I have a friend who her whole brand is radical self-acceptance. And that's really what it is there's beauty far beyond just skin deep.
Yes. No, all beauty, I would say, is there.
Yeah, but I mean, you can
True
find beauty within, a tree. Like, I'm the first to go up and hug a tree. But there's beauty everywhere and in everything. So it's just expanding your consciousness enough to be able to recognize it and see it.
Being able to open and make space for it.
Yeah.
Even your enemies. Like people, I don't have enemies, but...
Typically, though, your enemies are showing you something inside that needs to be
a mirror.
healed.
Everything's a mirror.
Yeah.
But there's beauty in everything. And just because we don't recognize it or it doesn't resonate with us, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like everything has its place and its purpose, right? Even insects. I always talk about, like, people love animals, but then they're like, yeah, and they kill, like, little bugs. I'm like, I don't get it, because, I mean, they serve their purpose, and spiders are beautiful.
But I don't want them in my house. Go find somewhere else to live.
I feel like the nature woodland shaman, like,
I'm the one, like, beep, 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 beep. Out.
I love it, but yes. Sometimes it's hard to see beauty in people. It is, you got to dig deeper, but it's amazing.
Usually there's something there, a redeeming quality.
Guys, I would love for you to follow me, I would all the things because I need the feedback. We're just starting this, and it meant the world to me, Gnarly, that you took the time. This is how it changes, and I will change that immediately for the garden.
We are not that great at this side of it,
but I will be.
We're getting there. We're learning.
Oh, too funny.
Team Trauma Twins.
We'll be back in. Team Trauma. Oh, Team Trauma sounds.
You left me hanging.
Okay, ready? We're gonna wind up. No, we're not gonna do it. It's weird now.
It's weird. You made it weird.